Okay, so let me share the screen. And today we'll focus on a very important topic, which is network security group. So let me share the screen. Okay, so let me check the virtual machine. Okay, if it is not, then we need to deploy the virtual machine as well. So what we'll do, we'll deploy one fresh virtual machine, and then we'll understand the network security group. Okay. So any doubt, any question till into the last sessions? Okay, so let's deploy the virtual machine. So before that, we'll deploy one resource group. Under the East US, and that under the resource group, we'll deploy the virtual machine. So go to home, virtual machine. App server 200 and Windows 2K12 R2 domain 100. Okay, now the during the virtual machine deployment, I'm going to select here only RDP. So I'm not going to select any HTTP, HTTPS or SSH. So those options we will discuss once we deploy the virtual machine, okay, during the network security group, because this is a part of network security group. So what Microsoft is saying here, like when you allow RDP means anyone can hit on a RDP, okay. So anyone can hit by RDP port, which is 3389 by default, and anyone can log in on that particular server, which is not recommended at all. So what is recommended practice, that we will discuss into the networking. So in networking, we will understand like what is the best practice to deploy the infrastructure with the security parameters. So now for the time being, I'm going to allow RDP. Next, standard one. Networking also I'm going to select as a default, because we are not defined any networking till. Also we are not discussed on a network part. So disable, and let's deploy the virtual machine.
Hello Yogesh, can you pardon once? Actually, my network is I think so.
Okay. Okay. So like we have deployed one virtual machine, and during the virtual, yeah, during the virtual machine deployment, we have selected one. Can you please mute yourself? Okay, so we have deployed one virtual machine, and during the virtual machine deployment, we have selected the RDP port, and RDP port we will use to take the RDP of the virtual machine with the default port, which is 3389. So once we deploy the virtual machine, we will understand the architecture of network security group, which is very important. And by using the network security group, we can allow or we can deny the incoming or outgoing traffic. Okay, so meanwhile, we can discuss, okay, on an energy part. So go to the paint. First, we'll understand like what is energy, how it works, and what is the uh, architecture, okay, when we deploy the energy with the virtual machine. Network security group. Okay, so first you need to understand by using the network security group, we can control incoming traffic, and outgoing traffic. Now, first you need to understand what is incoming traffic and what is outgoing traffic. So any guess from anyone? What is incoming traffic? What is outgoing traffic? This is virtual machine.
So anything like from the outside of our network or our organization, if anyone wants to access our machine, so he's coming from the outside of our network. So we need to allow some ports. If we want to access, give access to him, then we need to allow some ports. Then only he can access it.
No, I agree that, but what is incoming traffic and what is outgoing traffic? Very basic question. What is incoming and what is outgoing? Okay, let me explain. So incoming traffic is nothing but from or from virtual machine. Machine to virtual machine. Virtual machine to virtual machine. So when you hit from outside, when you take the RDP of the virtual machine, so that particular traffic comes under incoming traffic because you're hitting on that particular virtual machine from outside, right? So this is the incoming traffic. What is outgoing traffic? If you access the internet in virtual machine, okay, so if you access the virtual machine inside the virtual machine, okay, so that particular traffic comes under outgoing traffic. Okay, so your network security group is responsible for incoming traffic and outgoing traffic. So we can allow incoming traffic, we can deny incoming traffic as per our requirement. Okay, so let's understand again in depth. So network security group means NSG. Can be configured on NIC level, okay, NIC of virtual machine, okay. Network security group can be applied on network card level. So NSG be apply level is very important, okay. NSG can be applied on virtual machine level, NSG can be applied on subnet level. So we have only two scenarios. Energy we can have on a network card level, okay, which is getting connected to the virtual machine, and energy can be applied on subnet level. So how it works with the subnet, we will discuss into the networking part. So today we are going to focus on only the first scenario, which is energy configuration on a virtual machine level with the network card. So we are not going to attach directly to the virtual machine with the energy. So energy we are going to attach on a network card level, and that network card is getting connected to the virtual machine. So into the last session as well, we have discussed, right? So when we deploy the virtual machine, let's go into the another diagram. So when you deploy the virtual machine, Microsoft is deploying one network card as well. So this is the NIC of your virtual machine. So this is the virtual machine, and this is a virtual network card. Okay, and that particular network card is getting connected with the virtual machine and private IP address. IP is configured on VM. Okay, so private IP address is configured on virtual machine level. So when you say energy, or when you talk on an energy, what Microsoft is doing, Microsoft is creating the one more security layer on top of network card. So this is your network security group. Okay, this is your NSG. Okay, and into the NSG we have defined like RDP traffic is allowed. RDP traffic is allowed, and by default RDP works on 3389. We can change the port number as well, that we will discuss into the next scenarios. Okay, so I have deployed one virtual machine, and what is the default behavior when you deploy the virtual machine? During the virtual machine deployment, deploying the energy. Okay, so if you deploy 100 virtual machine, Microsoft will deploy 100 network security group. Okay, when you deploy a multiple virtual machine, Microsoft will deploy the multiple network security group as well. So what you need to understand here, there is a multiple scenario. Okay, so we can have one NSG with one VM. First scenario, we can have one NSG with multiple VM. Okay, so there are two scenarios. There are two scenarios. First, we will understand, we will discuss on a first scenario only, like how Microsoft is deploying a single energy with the single virtual machine. So when you go into the resource group, so let me demonstrate. So this is the virtual machine which we have deployed, which is application server 200. This is my virtual machine, is in running state. And when we go into the resource group, go to the another tab, and let's go into the resource group where we have deployed the virtual machine. So this is my resource group RG-1000, and under that resource group we have deployed one virtual machine. So during the virtual machine deployment, Microsoft has created the multiple objects. So virtual machine is object, public IP is object, network security group is object, network interface is object, disk is an object, and virtual network is object. So there are multiple objects is running, okay, inside the resource group to run a single virtual machine. So like under those objects, we can see one network security group object, NHG. See app server 200-NHG. So this is the NHG, and that particular NHG is getting connected with our network card, with our server. So as we discussed, NHG can be a support with the two objects, network interface and subnet. So when you go into the subnets, we cannot see any data here, means that particular network group, that particular network security group is not connected to the subnet level. When we go into the network interface, we can see, yes, that particular network security group is connected to that network interface. So app server 200336 is a naming convention, is a name of your object, and that object is nothing but your network interface. So let's go into the virtual machine. Under the virtual machine, you will get one more option, which is networking. So under the networking, you will get your network interface of the virtual machine. See, app server 200-336, and same network interface you can see under the network security group as well. So you can understand, or you can see that particular network security group is getting connected to the virtual machine, and that virtual machine is nothing but your app server 200. So any question till, any doubt till? Any question, any doubt?
Hi Yogesh, I have missed
Yeah,
yeah, first 15 minutes, I guess. Uh,
yeah.
can
Okay.
explain? Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to highlight here, okay, as the next point. So your network security group is responsible for your incoming, inbound port and outbound port, means incoming traffic and outgoing traffic. Okay, so as we discussed into the theory as well, right? My NHG is responsible for incoming and outgoing traffic. So during the virtual machine deployment, we have enabled the RDP. And that's why Microsoft has added one rule as well here. And that particular rule is nothing but RDP rule with 3389 port, TCP, source, any and destination any. We will discuss today only what is source, what is destination, and how we need to configure it. But what I wanted to highlight here, when you select the RDP port during the virtual machine deployment, Microsoft is allowing the RDP traffic from outside. So when you say outside means your source. So source is defined here any. So any means anyone can hit on that particular public IP, and anyone can take the RDP of the virtual machine. So again, why Microsoft is showing here a warning? Because we have configured source as any. So as per security guidelines, your source should not any. Because when you configure the source as any means anyone can hit, right? So your source should be a specific, either public IP, either private IP, or either specific network. And from that network only you can log in into your virtual machine. So any question till any doubt? Any question, any doubt till?
Yeah, so we can say that it is acting, if we configure all the inbound and outbound rules properly, it can act as a firewall. Is it right?
Yes, yes. This is a firewall at a virtual machine level. Yes,
Okay.
it will act as like firewall only. Yes. So this is a one more layer security. This is a one more layer security, and we will discuss like how communication works when you take the RDP of the virtual machine from outside. Okay, we will discuss that scenario as well. Any question from anyone?
Yeah. So if we are not giving RDP here before one creation of virtual machine,
Right,
so
right.
after creation of this, can we edit here and can we come and
Yes,
edit here?
yes, we can. Yes, we can. Okay, let me demonstrate you. Then you will get the idea. Let me delete the rule. Okay, let me delete the rule. So today we are going to discuss on only the energy part because it's very important. Okay. Okay. So see, now there is no port is configured under the inbound traffic, right? What is the public IP of the server? This is the public IP. Go into the MSTSC. Okay. Now here by default, Microsoft is bypassing the network security group now. Okay. Microsoft is bypassing the network security group and directly we are getting the RDP. So what we need to do in that particular scenario? Okay. Again, let me try one more time. Okay. Just see. RDP is not allowed. It is taking some time to replicate into the rules into the virtual machine. So we are not getting the RDP here. And when you add the RDP rule here, go to the inbound source any which port you need. I need here 3389 because by default your RDP works on 3389. This is your RDP port. That's it. See, now we can take the RDP of the virtual machine. But what is the recommendation here? Your source should not any. Okay. So before that, we will understand how it works. Okay. How energy works. So let's go into the diagram. So this is my network security group. And that particular network security group is allocated with the my network card, and network card is getting connected with the virtual machine. So my NIC is getting connected with the subnet. So this is my subnet, Azure subnet. And as we discuss, like your network security group can be apply on virtual machine level, NIC card level, and it can be apply on subnet level as well. So now currently we are not configured any NSG on subnet level. Okay. So NSG on subnet level is none, not applicable. We are not configured. We are not configured anything here. So when you try to hit on a RDP, right, as a user, when you try to take the RDP, right, so as a user, you're trying to take the use the RDP here, right? So when you take the RDP of server, so by default, your request is getting forwarded to your subnet first. Into the subnet level, Microsoft will check whether RDP is allowed or not. If RDP is not allowed on subnet level, your RDP traffic or your RDP packets are getting dropped on subnet level only. Okay, so those packets, that particular traffic is not getting forwarded to the next hop because RDP is blocked on a subnet level. So if RDP is allowed here, or if you're not configured any NSG, so automatically that traffic is getting forwarded to the next hop, and next hop is nothing but your NSG, which is configured on virtual machine or virtual network card level. So into that NSG again, Microsoft is checking, yes, RDP is allowed, and the same traffic is getting forwarded to your operating system firewall, your OS firewall. Okay, and again into the OS firewall level, again your Microsoft OS will check, yes, RDP is allowed, and then you will take the RDP of the virtual machine. So if your RDP is deny, or if your RDP is blocked on a subnet level, your request is not getting forwarded on a NSG which is configured on network card level. If RDP is blocked on a virtual interface level, So again, the same traffic is not getting forwarded to the operating system firewall. Again, into the OS firewall, if RDP is blocked, you will not get the RDP. Means what I wanted to communicate here, like if you wanted to take the RDP of the virtual machine, so RDP needs to be allowed on all the level. So RDP needs to be allowed. RDP needs to be allowed, and OS level as well. RDP need to be allowed. If RDP is getting blocked or your RDP is not configured on any level, so from that level, Microsoft will not forward the packets on the next hop. So any question till any doubt, any question?
Where you will check on Azure subnet the RDP is allowed?
Your voice is not getting, Irfan.
Audible?
No, still we are not getting your voice.
Uh, Hi, Yogesh.
Hey, hi.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
See, if I am doing an RDP,
Huh.
then so it will first hit to our subnet, right? Subnet is related to some our network.
Right.
We are
Right.
dividing our network into parts.
Right.
So,
Right.
and I'm unable to RDP my virtual machine. So, is there any process to check where it was blocked? Because in this I can see three layers of security. Like first one is OS level, and NIC and the subnet. So
Right. Right.
if it
Yes, we can.
was failed,
Yeah. We can check. Yes, we can check it. Effective route or effective things we can check it from the virtual machine level. Yeah.
okay. So if I check, so subnet and NIC is clear, then we can find that our OS level it is rejecting it, right? So
Yes.
there are steps to check that, right?
So in that scenario, what you need to do if your RDP is blocked on a OS level, then you need to allow the RDP into the OS firewall. Okay.
Okay.
So again, you will ask me like the RDP is blocked, then how we can take the RDP and how we can enable it. So what Microsoft is doing here, Microsoft is providing some command line option or console. So via PowerShell, via command line, you need to allow the RDP port inside the OS firewall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir,
Yogesh,
suppose our RDP is not reachable, and we want to track or trace that issues. So which level it going in getting issue or blocking? How we can track it?
So see, one more point I wanted to highlight, you cannot use the tracer command. So Microsoft is not allowing to use the tracer command. Okay, due to some security reason. Yeah, due to some security reason. So you need to check the step by step. For see, if you're not getting the RDP, you need to check first on subnet level. What is the network security group is configured on subnet level, and you need to check if any rules is getting created for RDP and what is source and what is destination. Okay, is everything is good on subnet level, then you need to check on a again virtual machine level with the NHG, okay, which we have configured. If everything is good on that level, then you need to check on a operating system level.
Azure subnet level means where exactly we should check?
So subnet level means when you define a subnet, okay, let me show you. Okay, so that part we are not going to cover today, but just I wanted to highlight that option. See, this is the resource group we have created, and one network is getting created automatically. So under the network, you will get one subnet, and under the subnet, you will get the network security group. See, now currently network security group is showing none. None means we have not configured any NHG. And if you are not going to configure any NHG on subnet level, means everything is allowed as a incoming and as a outgoing as well. Okay. So in next lecture, in networking lecture, I will demonstrate how we can configure the network security group on network level. So any
So
question till?
now, since the if we don't specify the source, so any machine can connect to that particular IP if he knows the public IP, right?
Yes, 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 yes. If you know the public IP, you can also hit on my virtual machine from your side.
So now, when I am creating a lab or doing a lab, I have my own public IP. I just want my IP to connect to that particular machine.
We can do it.
But
Yes,
in
we
that,
can do it.
but in that
Yes.
case, means I have seen that sometimes you do not get unless and until you keep any in the source.
Yes. So you need to define a required public IP there, and then you will get the RDP from the specific public IP. Okay.
Hello, Yogesh.
Yes.
Yeah. So my question is, like in a Hyper-V, we can check the virtual machine whether it is running or not, whether is there any problem with the booting or anything. Like this in the Azure portal, we can't see the virtual machine whether it is running or not.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
if there is something issue in the operating system level on the boot, if it's stuck suppose it is stuck on the booting operating system booting issue something like that, then how we
Ha.
can rectify it?
Ha. So don't compare with Hyper-V and VMware. So into the Hyper-V, into the VMware, you will get the actual console of the virtual machine where you can do the troubleshooting. But into the Microsoft is not providing the GUI console. Microsoft is offering the serial console. So in troubleshooting class, we will discuss how to use the serial console of the virtual machine. So inside the serial console, you will get the command line and PowerShell, and via that PowerShell you can troubleshoot the issue. Okay.
Yogesh, I have one question. So,
Yes.
as we discussed that RDP should be enabled at three different levels. So, in a particular production scenario where usually firewalls are on the virtual machines, is that the same case in Azure virtual machines? Or do we have to create any exclusion in the firewall for VM and then enable any kind of traffic?
See what you need to do, and what you need to do as a use as a best practice is completely depend on your security settings or your security team. Okay.
Okay.
So if you if you are if your security team is saying, we need to use a firewall, then RDP port needs to be allowed inside the operating system firewall with the specific IP, or source can be any.
Okay.
Okay. So when you configure the RDP inside the operating system with the source any, okay, means anyone can take the RDP of the virtual machine.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So NHG is nothing but one more layer security. Okay. And that particular security getting created top up of your virtual machine.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
Any question till? Okay.
Sir, can you configure that your virtual machine with the specific allowed to your system?
Yes. We will do the multiple scenario. Okay. I'm going to take the multiple scenario, then you will get the more idea. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Just wait. Yeah, just wait. Okay. So first we will understand those rules, okay, which is getting created automatically under the incoming and under the outbound, and then we will do all the labs, okay, with the energy. So this is my incoming rules. Okay. Okay, let me use the incoming details. This is my incoming and this is my outgoing, right? So we'll discuss in depth what is incoming and what is outgoing again. Go to the okay, this is my incoming, this is my outgoing. Okay, now first we will focus on the default ports. So this 3 ports Microsoft is giving as a default. When you create a energy by default, you will get those ports, and those ports you cannot edit it. Okay, sorry, those rules you cannot edit it. So this is the default rules, okay, which we need to understand first. So what is the priority? Priority is showing here 65,000. So we will discuss what is priority and how it works. So 65,000 rule is saying allow VNet inbound traffic. So what Microsoft is saying, okay, with the 65,000 rule, the internal traffic is getting allowed. Okay, let's when you create a multiple virtual machine, okay, under your subscription, under your network. So let's take up example. This is your network, and under the network, when you deploy multiple virtual machine, so those all the virtual machine is a part of your single network, right? Single network. So what 65,000 rule is saying, your allow VNet inbound traffic, and same rule you will get with the outbound traffic as well with the out traffic. So this is in and this is out. So when you talk on a internal communication, let's take an example. This is server A and this is server B. So server A wanted to communicate with the server B and server B wanted to communicate with the server A. So when you ping from the server A to server B, so this is the outgoing traffic for server A and this is the incoming traffic for server B. So that particular traffic is by default allowed, okay, at a NHG level, which Microsoft is giving with the 65,000 rule. 65,000 allow VNet inbound traffic, 65,000 rule allow VNet outbound traffic. Any question here related to the internal traffic? Any question till? Okay, let's go into the next rule. The next rule Microsoft is providing here, which is 65,001, allow Azure load balancer rule. Allow Azure load balancer rule. So what Microsoft is saying, see, load balancer we will discuss into the next lecture. What Microsoft is saying, when you configure the virtual machine under the load balancer, let's take an example. This is your Azure load balancer. And when you configure the virtual machine here, let's see, this is a virtual machine. There are multiple virtual machines is getting configured under the load balancer. So what Microsoft is saying, the incoming traffic means your Azure LB2 virtual machine traffic is allowed. Okay, and that particular traffic Microsoft is providing with the 65,001 rule. What is the rule here? Allow Azure load balancer incoming traffic. Okay, so this is a incoming traffic. Source is load balancer and destination is any. What is destination? What is source? We will discuss. And the next rule is 65,500, which is showing deny all inbound. Means what Microsoft is saying here, internal traffic is allowed and my RDP traffic is allowed. RDP from anywhere, from any IP is allowed. But when you try to hit with the HTTP port or HTTPS port, you will not able to hit on that particular server because HTTP traffic is not allowed. HTTPS traffic is not allowed on a NHG. That's why you can have only RDP traffic. You can take only RDP of the virtual machine and your virtual machine can communicate internally only. So this is a first rule, 65,000, which is default rule. 65,000 rule is related to the incoming traffic from load balancer to the virtual machine, and 65,500 rule is saying deny all inbound. Means my virtual machine will accept the internal packets, and my virtual machine will virtual machine can support only the incoming traffic from the RDP port, which is 3389. So when you compare with the outgoing, so again Microsoft is providing here one more rule which is very important to get the internet, because when you access the internet inside the virtual machine, you can access the internet. So that particular internet we are getting by using the outgoing rule, and that rule is saying allow internet outbound. So when you hit on google.com from the virtual machine, that particular traffic comes under outgoing traffic. Means your virtual machine is trying to communicate with the outside of the infrastructure. Okay, so that's why Microsoft is saying when you deploy the virtual machine, by default internet is allowed on your virtual machine. You can use or you can open any website inside your virtual machine. Okay, and that particular rule is also saying allowed. Again, 65,500 rule is saying deny all outbound traffic. So via internet, your virtual machine can communicate, okay, with the outside. So rest of the traffic is getting blocked. Okay, with the same way into the incoming traffic, all inbound traffic is blocked. Okay, just we have allowed only the 3389, and we have allowed only the internal traffic. That's it. Into the outbound, we have allowed only the internet traffic. Via internet, you can reach to any virtual server or any website, and rest of the traffic it is showing deny. So any question here till any question?
Sir,
So
regarding
we don't want this to be internet facing them.
Yeah, so in that scenario, you need to overlap that particular rule, because as I said, right, that rule cannot be changed. So you need to create a one more rule, okay, with the lower priority. We will discuss what is priority. Okay, we will discuss.
sir, suppose
Sir,
sorry. Suppose, sir, we assign a private IP as per our network requirement. In that
Right.
case, also internet will be allow that system virtual.
See, there is no relation between public IP and internet. ओके आपका पब्लिक आईपी जो वर्चुअल मशीन को मिलता है, देयर इज नो रिलेशन विद द पब्लिक आईपी विद द वर्चुअल मशीन. If I remove the public IP from virtual machine, still internet will work, because the public IP is only the media to connect from your location to your virtual machine, and that public IP is a netted IP. Okay.
Okay.
Why? See, why you are using a public IP? Because you do not have any site-to-site VPN from your home to Microsoft data center, right?
Right.
That's why you are using a public IP. So your public IP and your internet, there is no relation. So you can have virtual machine without public IP, and still you can access the internet inside the virtual machine. Yes, Irfan. Yes, your question. Irfan.
So these are the default rules which cannot be changed, right?
Right. 65,000, 65,001, 65,500. Three rules under the incoming, three rules under the outgoing, default rules. You cannot change it. If you wanted to edit those rules, you need to configure the same rule with the lower priority. Because what is the thumb rule here? The thumb rule here is less priority, first preference. Okay, so let me explain with the different scenario. Okay, and then you will get the idea. See, now let's go into the inbound, and we have configured the RDP rule here. So RDP rule is saying priority is 100, name is RDP, port is 3389, protocol is any, source any, destination any, and allow. So every time your priority starts from 100. Okay, so let me change the priority with 110 and save. So now I'm going to configure one more rule with the lower priority. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to configure here, let's see, 109. Okay, so as per diagram, this is my 110. Okay, this is my 110 rule. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a one more rule with the lower priority. Let's see, 109. 109. I'm going to configure the name as a RDP1 because the same name it will not accept. Same port 3389. Protocol any. Source any. Destination any. And I'm going to configure here deny. So when you configure that particular rule, okay, for the virtual machine with the lower priority, so every time Microsoft will refer the lower priority first. So if you're having the rules with the lower priority, Microsoft will give the first preference. And under the rule, Microsoft can check here. Priority is 109, which is lower compared to 110. What is the source? What is the destination? And what is the action? Action will be the deny with the first, with the low priority. So Microsoft will deny the RDP of the virtual machine. So let's try to configure that rule. Add inbound rule. Source any, destination any, 3389, 3389. Action deny, priority 109, and RDP. See, the rule is already exists with the same name. So I'm going to configure with the RDP1. Say OK, add. Okay, now, so that 109 rule is getting overlap with the 110. Okay. So
Sir, I
means,
have a question here.
yes, please. Yes, please.
So this rule is effective as many times as we try to hit the like RDP.
Yes,
All
when you
the
try
times
to,
it is effective.
yes. All the times, yes, all the times. When you try to hit on a same IP, see, we are not getting the RDP here. So any question till? Any question, Irfan?
So your default is 100 for RDP.
No. There is no mapping for any rule with the priority. So you can have any priority with any rule. There is no mappings. Okay. There is no mappings. So when you remove that particular rule, you can take the RDP now.
So is it possible to backup or take backup? Yogesh,
Yeah.
is it possible to
Yes,
take the
Irfan.
backup of the rules?
Yes, backup means what you can do by using the PowerShell, you can export those rules into the CSV file. via PowerShell unit to export it. Any question till?
Uh, yeah, yes, Yogesh. Actually, I am in a virtual machine, so I'm unable to access Google or some other things, but I can access only my application, my project application. So, is that will
Ha.
come to
So
outbound role?
yeah. So when you try to log in your office machine, I believe they have denied all the internet because like people are using the third-party firewall in front of the infrastructure. So your virtual machine routing is getting configured with the firewall. That's why you're not getting the internet into the virtual machine.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
by
that
default,
scenario also
they will
we
provide
will
outbound.
discuss. By
Okay.
default, they are
So here
providing the
by default.
internet. Mhm. Yes.
Yeah. Uh, that is means our virtual machine Azure provides 65,000 outbound role or 65,001 outbound role by default, but
Mhm.
due to that firewall restriction, we are not able to
Yes.
do other things.
Yes. So that scenario also we are going to discuss under the networking. Okay.
What is the range of priority?
So priority starts from 100. Okay. Priority starts from 100. You cannot define the priority, okay, below 100.
And ending?
Ending with the 65,500. Okay. So let's go into the one more scenario. We'll understand one more scenario. Okay. So let me take the RDP of the virtual machine. Let me log in. Okay. So I am able to log in. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to check my public IP first. Let me check the public IP. Public IP. Okay, now it is showing IPv6. Let me check IPv4. This is my public IP, right? So what I can do, I can edit the existing rule, and as a source, I can define my public IP only. Source IP address, my public IP, save. Means only I can take the RDP of the virtual machine. So you can also try from your end. Can you please try to hit on 52, 186, 147, 89 IP address from your end? Can you please try from your end and let me know the result?
Not able to connect.
Not able to connect, right? Because I have specified the source here. Okay. and let me log in. Admin 100 the password, and let me install the IS on the server. So let's deploy the one more. Sorry, let's deploy the IS here. Add rules and features. IS. Okay, so now we have installed the IS on the server, and when we try to hit on a same public IP by using the HTTP, so again we are not getting any RDP page here, right? Sorry, any web page. So why? Because the HTTP traffic is not allowed on the NHG level. So let's try to add incoming traffic. Okay, so source any, destination any, and which port you wanted to allow 80. You can configure here HTTP. Say add. Okay, RDP, HTTP, and yes, we can try to hit again. See, now we can access the web page, right? which is getting hosted on a virtual machine. So with the same way, we can have a multiple rule on a NHG inside the virtual machine. So again, I wanted to show you the one more rule which is comes under outgoing traffic. So I wanted to block the internet. So how we can block the internet? Okay, see, if you access the internet on the server, let's go into the security option and let me show you. By default, we can access the internet on the server. See, I can access the internet inside the virtual machine. So how we can block by using the outgoing rules? So let's go into the outbound rule. So what we need to do? We need to deploy one more rule. We need to configure the one more rule. Okay, where we need to deny the internet traffic. Okay, so let's add with the lower priority source any, and my destination is comes under a service tag. So internet option comes under service tag. Select the service tag. Destination is internet with all ports. All ports deny. Internet. See, 60, your internet outbound, right? So the same rule we have defined by default is allowed, and we have defined with the deny. So let's cross check into the virtual machine. Go to the Internet Explorer. Again, it will take 2 to 3 minutes to apply that rule. See, we're not getting any any web page inside the virtual machine because we have blocked the internet under the outgoing traffic. The same rule we have defined with the lower priority, and lower priority is nothing but my less than 65,001. See, no internet. So any question till any question?
Any specific website if you want to allow other all things block? It's
No,
it can possible?
no.
No. Yeah.
Not possible. So that particular configuration you need to do inside the firewall.
Firewall.
Okay, or inside the proxy.
Okay.
So your IP, your website based controlling is not supported till. So might be Microsoft will provide that feature into the next updates. Okay.
Okay. So that load balance is by default is there. Suppose we have created a two system and one system getting overloaded or something. So how it load balance work in that between?
No. See. By default, load balancer is not created automatically or by default. So when you configure the virtual machine under that load balancer, then that rule is getting applied automatically.
Okay, so how it work? How we get the benefit of that rules?
So that particular rule, okay, you will get, or that particular rule is getting automatically activate when you configure the load balancer. So currently we do not have any load balancer.
Oh, okay.
So currently we have only the single virtual machine, standalone virtual machine. Okay, so load balancer scenario we are going to discuss during the networking. Okay.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Any question till? Okay. So let's go
Where
with
I
the.
can see the firewall log, Yogesh?
So for the firewall log means you're asking energy logs, right?
Yeah, let's say now you have defined this rule and it is getting denied. So
Right.
definitely, instead of going directly into the rules and checking over there, definitely we go step by step. First, check whether we're getting logs. So logs are the most important point where most of the management has provided the logs. So where
Yes.
exactly
For
do
the
we see the
yeah
log?
yeah for the log purpose, what you need to do, you need to configure the workspace. Okay. So you need to capture all the logs into the workspace, and then you can have all the logs of the virtual machine. So currently we are not captured, or currently we are not configured any logging system from the Azure side.
So by default, nothing is getting logged right now at this moment.
Right.
So,
So
so
if you're not configured
I raise a
anything,
case with Microsoft and ask him that I need a log.
Microsoft can provide those logs because Microsoft is maintaining each and every log. But as a user, for the user, if you wanted to maintain, then you need to enable or you need to configure the workspace.
So that would be chargeable, right?
Yes. Logging system also chargeable. So there are multiple ways to configure the logging system. You can configure logging into the security center as well. You can have a third party tool as well, like Blue Sapphire. People are using Blue Sapphire, okay, to collect all the Azure component logs. So there are multiple ways to do it. Okay, so let's go into the next scenario. Now into the next scenario, what I wanted to demonstrate how to deploy a new virtual machine with the same network security group. So let me explain into the diagram first. So as we discussed, like we can have two scenario, right? So we have discussed two scenario here. So we can have single virtual machine with the single network security group. We can have a single energy with the multiple virtual machine. So now what you can do, virtual machine, virtual machine, virtual machine. Let's take an example. You have three virtual machine, and this is Windows VM, Windows VM, Windows VM. What is the default behavior from Microsoft? Microsoft is creating a energy with the virtual machine. Energy 1, energy 2, and energy 3. So energy 1 is getting mapped with the first virtual machine NIC. So this is your network interface, network interface, network interface. Right. Okay. So let's take an example. In your infrastructure, you have 500 virtual machines, 500 VMs. Means what will happen? Microsoft will create 500 energy, right? Which is very difficult to manage. So let's take an example. Due to some security or due to some issue, you wanted to block all the RDP ports of all the virtual machine. What is your requirement? You wanted to block the RDP port from all the virtual machine NHGs. What you need to do? You need to block that particular port, okay, by using a different network security group. Why? Because you have configured a separate NHG with the virtual machine. So you have virtual machine NHG, your virtual machine with NHG, virtual machine with NHG. So what is the recommendation, or what is the another way to manage the centrally with the NHG with virtual machine? The another way is you can have a single network security group for multiple virtual machine. So I have, let's say, 3 virtual machine. NIC, and I can have single NHG. So this is my network security group. Okay. And single network security group is getting configured with multiple virtual machine. So when I block here RDP port, and I block here RDP port, it will block for all the virtual machines. Let's see, RDP deny virtual machine 1, virtual machine 2, and virtual machine 3. But my requirement here is I wanted to block the RDP on specific virtual machine. So that also we can do the configuration with that particular network security group, where I need to define the destination. So till we have not discussed source and destination, right? So now we will discuss source and destination. But before that, I wanted to demonstrate how to deploy virtual machine with the existing network security group. Because already we have one NHG, right? When you see into the resource group, under the resource group, go to the resource group here, RG-1000, and under resource group you can see the network security group, right? So this is the network security group. So the same network security group we will map to the new virtual machine which we are going to deploy. So let's go into the virtual machine, and again I'm going to deploy virtual machine without public IP, and then you will get the more idea or more clarity. So let's go into the virtual machine. App server 201 will create. Under the same resource group we will deploy. So this is my 201 virtual machine with Windows operating system, 2K12, B2S, admin 100, okay. RDP I'm going to allow by default. Go to disk, default options. Okay, now under the networking, what I'm going to define here, I don't want public IP. So again, what is the default behavior? When you deploy the virtual machine, Microsoft is deploying one public IP as well. So I don't want public IP, first thing. And again, network security group, NIC network security group. What is the default behavior? Again, Microsoft is creating here one more network security group. So what I'm going to define here under the advanced, I'm going to select the existing network security group, which is app server 200-NHG. Okay. So any question here, any doubt, any question till? So the virtual machine we are going to deploy without public IP and with the existing network security group. So any question till? Okay. So let's go into
So Yogesh, one question I have.
Yes.
So
Yes, please.
in this scenario, we just have one virtual machine mapped to the existing NSG. अगर हमारे पास multiple virtual machines है, let's say 150, तो मतलब script के through हम कर सकते हैं या यहाँ पे भी कोई option रहेगा पोर्टल पे?
नहीं आपका क्वेश्चन ये है कि into the previous scenario हमने डिस्कस किया single virtual machine with single NHG.
Right.
हाँ, सो अगर आपके पास 500 वर्चुअल मशीन है तो आपके पास 500 नेटवर्क सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप रहेंगे, वेयर यू आर गोइंग टू मैनेज अ सिंगल और सेपरेट एनर्जी, राइट?
नहीं, सो यहाँ पे हम एग्जिस्टिंग एनएसजी को नए वर्चुअल मशीन में मैप कर रहे हैं। सो
राइट।
व्हाट ओके, सो अगर मुझे ऐसे 5 और वर्चुअल मशीन्स को सेम एनएसजी से मैप करना है, तो मुझे हर बार ये मतलब क्रिएशन के टाइम पे अलग से सिलेक्ट करना पड़ेगा, या मैं 5 मशीन्स के लिए एक बार एनएसजी सिलेक्ट कर सकती हूँ?
हाँ, तो आपके पास दो ऑप्शन है। फर्स्ट, आपको डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा कि व्हाट इज द टूल यू आर यूजिंग फॉर द डिप्लॉयमेंट। आप पोर्टल अगर यूज कर रहे मैन्युअली, अगर आप मशीन डिप्लॉय कर रहे तो आपको मैन्युअली जाके ऑप्शन चेंज करना पड़ेगा, फर्स्ट थिंग। So when you use the automation by using the Terraform or your ARM templates, तो आपको वो ARM टेम्पलेट में वो NHG का नाम डिफाइन करना पड़ेगा, ऐप सर्वर 200-NHG। Then automatically Microsoft will deploy a virtual machine with the existing network security group. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's go into the next management and default option. Okay, we are not going to discuss those options right now, and let's deploy the virtual machine.
So योगेश, हम इमेज भी क्रिएट कर सकते हैं क्या एनएसजी के साथ?
Image, which type of image you are asking? Which image you are asking? जो
Means
हमने
template.
देखा, no template. See, template को कभी public IP नहीं होता है. Okay, so this is the image. Okay, image, generalized image I'm talking, without public IP.
ओके, उस इमेज में सिर्फ सॉफ्टवेयर रहेंगे जो हमको चाहिए थे, प्री डिफाइंड।
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so now I can see the new virtual machine here. Okay, so let's go step by step. So first I wanted to demonstrate there is no public IP, still we can access the internet. Okay, so how you will log in into the virtual machine, because there is no public IP. So what we can do, we can use a local IP address. Okay, so now app server 200 is acting as a jump server. मैंने यहाँ पे jump server को login किया है, and from jump I can take the RDP of the app server 201. See, because the internal communication is already established. Let me check which network. Okay, so RG-1000 with the default. Go inside the virtual machine. Okay, go to MSTSC. See, I can take the RDP by using a local IP, admin 100. And I can take the RDP of the app server 201 which we have created. So any question till in that scenario? Any question? So app server 200 is acting as a jump server. पहले आपने jump server पे login किया, और वहां से फिर आपने लोकल आईपी के थ्रू दूसरे सर्वर को लॉग इन किया है, बिकॉज अ सेकेंड सर्वर डजंट हैव एनी पब्लिक आईपी, दैट्स व्हाई.
Here both the servers are in same network.
Yes, yes, both servers are into the same network. Yeah. Okay.
So I have another virtual machine. So once I log into this virtual machine, I can log into another one.
Yes. So already we are logged in from the server 200. Okay. And also we can access the internet. Okay. Let me disable the security settings from the IE. And internet. Okay. So any guess why that machine means why that internet is not working? Any guess? Any thought? Any guess why internet is not working? So internet should work, right? So as per our discussion, internet should work here, right?
We already apply that common group policy.
Exactly. The reason here is already we have configured the same network security group. Okay. So as per diagram, I have single network security group which is configured with the two virtual machine. And in that particular NHG, we have defined internet is blocked. Internet is denied, right? So when I go into the network security group, so now I have two virtual machines. Let me go into the virtual machine option. Virtual machine 200, virtual machine 201. Go to networking and go to the networking. So two virtual machines I have, right? App server 200, app server 201. So app server 200, I can see here network security group, app server 200-NHG. 201, I can see the same network security group. Okay. Under the outgoing, I can see here internet is denied, and under the outgoing, I can see the internet is denied. But my requirement here is I wanted to allow internet, or I wanted to block the internet on only one server. Okay, as per diagram, this is my app server 200. Okay, as per diagram, this is my app server 200. And this is my app server 201, right? So my requirement here is I wanted to block internet on only app server 200. I don't want to block internet into the 20. Internet is required here, but the same network security group we have configured on both virtual machines. So how we can define the rules? So those rules comes under the specific rule. Okay, so let's go into the portal. and go into the outbound rules which you have defined. So this is my outbound rule, right? So source, and now we need to define the source IP address. So what is the local IP of the server? My requirement here is, as per diagram, our requirement is server app server 200, we need a without internet, and app server 201 we need a with internet, right? So now we need to refer the local IP address. So let me capture the local IP address first, and then you will get the idea. So what is the local IP addresses of the virtual machine? So this is app server 200. This is the local IP. And this is next IP address, which is 5. Okay. So now we need to define the source. So if my 10.0.0.4 server is trying to access the internet, and that internet needs to be blocked. If 0.5 is accessing the internet, internet should allow. So that particular setting we need to configure here inside the network security group. Okay, so what is the source? This is the source. Service stack internet, and rest of the servers can access the internet. So the rule we have defined for only the single virtual machine where I wanted to block the internet. And you can define here, see, you can define here multiple private IP address by using the comma. Let's see, you have 500 virtual machine, and out of 500 virtual machine you wanted to deny internet on 3 virtual machines. So you can apply, or you can provide the multiple IP addresses by using the comma. So let's close here, and now we can say that particular rule is we have created for the particular virtual machine. So let's go into the networking, and same rule will reflect into the another virtual machine as well. Outbound rule, priority 100, internet deny, port any protocol, source 0.4, and destination will be the internet, which is denied. And now let's go into the 0.5 machine and refresh. See, I can access the internet, and internet is not working into the my first virtual machine. Let's go Internet Explorer. Google.com. There is no internet available because we have blocked the internet for specific virtual machine. So any question till any doubt?
Can you show that rule again where you have allowed 4 and blocked 5?
Yeah. Yes. See, just I have defined here blocked. Okay. So automatically Microsoft will block, and rest of the virtual machine you can access the internet, okay, on that particular virtual machine. So we have defined your source. So if you define here one more source with the 5, then you cannot access the internet on both virtual machine. What we can do, comma, save.
Can the energy contain subgroups as well?
No, No, in that scenario, you need to configure the ASG, application security group. Okay, then you can configure the application level ports as well, incoming and outgoing.
Just because if like a large subnet is there, and you know that there is a DMZ zone defined.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we keep generally the machines which are internet facing in a DMZ network. So now
Mm-hmm.
in that case, you have taken a NSG group where you have a DMZ zone as well. So in
Right,
that
right.
case,
No, no. In that scenario, you need to deploy a different design. So that particular scenario we are going to discuss without any DMZ network or without multiple VNets. Okay. So in that scenario, you need to define a multiple VNets, and when you deploy the multiple VNets, okay, out of those VNets, a single VNet will act as a DMZ VNet, where all the web servers can be deployed under that particular network with the public facing.
right, like
Okay.
a tier 3 network or tier 3
Yes.
architecture.
Yes. Currently, we have deployed single VNet, single virtual machine. So that particular scenario you cannot compare it. But when we discuss a networking and networking components, then you will get the more idea, because networking is a very important topic. Very important. Okay, because without networking, you will not able to design the infrastructure. Okay. So any question till? Okay, so let's understand one more scenario. So the setting we have configured with the outgoing traffic, right? So same setting we can configure for incoming traffic as well. And then again, you will get the more idea. Okay, so let's go here with the same energy. Okay, inbound traffic. So what is destination here? Destination any. But my requirement here is I wanted to allow only the specific server remote desktop. Okay, any means that user can access any server, that user can take the RDP of the any virtual machine. Okay, so what we need to do again, we need to define here local IP address under the text where you can specify a required server. Okay, so let's take an example. For that I need to configure one more public IP on the server. Then I can demonstrate a lab. Okay, so let me configure the one more public IP. Public address. Add here. Two zero one. Okay, so how we can attach the public IP with virtual machine network card? So go to the public IP, associate, network interface, and this is the network interface of server 201.
I think it failed to associate.
Let me check. Failed. Okay, failed to server network interface. Okay, let me refresh once. Two zero one. Okay, so still Microsoft has not generated the public IP, so we need to wait. Okay, refresh. Okay, let's deassociate and let's create with the standard one. Okay, let me create a one more public IP. 0111. Standard, the static IP.
That would be charged, right?
Yes, 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 because the static IP we want to configure. Okay, see now I can see that the public appears. Associate the network interface. Two zero one. So now we can see the IP address. Let's refresh here on 201. Okay, now we have two public IPs, right? So this is 201. Okay, let's go into the virtual machine 200, and this is 201 virtual machine. Go to the virtual machine, and now same rules we will apply for incoming traffic. Then you will get the again more idea. So this is the public IP of 201, and this is the public IP of 200. So let me copy into the notepad. Okay, this is the public IP of server 200. Server 201 is the public IP. Okay, now, so what is the rule we have configured? So as per diagram, we have configured a single network security group, right? So under the single network security group, we have configured the RDP, okay, source, and we have defined the source, right? But what is the destination? So let me create a one more tab. And directly we can check the network security group, NSG here. Go to the NSG, network security group. So this is the network security group, and we can check that particular network security group where it is connected. So go to the network interface. I can see two network interfaces are connected here, right? Which is 0.4 and 0.5, right? So let's go into the inbound traffic. So now under the inbound traffic, we have defined the source means my internet, okay, my IP address can reach to any virtual machine. Destination any means two virtual machines we have currently. So any virtual machine means I can take the RDP of both virtual machines. So let me close the sessions and let's try one more time. So first IP address, enter, yes, I can take the RDP. Let's go into the next public IP. Try with the next IP. Yes, I can take the RDP of the second virtual machine as well. But my requirement here is I wanted to provide the RDP access on only the app server. I don't want to provide the access on a second server, which is 201. Okay. So what I need to do, I need to configure the destination here. So when I hit from that particular public IP, so I should hit on only the one server, and the destination server IP address 10.0.0.4. Say save. Okay. So now we have specified here. My source is public IP. My destination is 0.4. So let's try one more time. First, which is app server 200. Yes, I can connect it because we have specified. Let's try with the second one. Again, it will take 2 minutes, okay, to apply this bit. See, not able to connect the second server. Why? Because into the network security group, we have specified this is the source, this is the destination. That's it. So if you configure any means, you can log in to any server because a single network security group is getting configured with the multiple virtual machine. That's why. So any question here, any doubt? still? Irfan, any question? Pallavi, any question from your side? Any question?
Yes, Yogesh. So this
Yeah.
one question. So these NSGs, we can apply these on Linux machines as well, or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Linux machine as well. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. NSG can be applied on network card, and that network card can be connected to the Windows machine or
Yeah.
Linux machine.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So any mess up with the rules will be a very challenging situation to find out where exactly it is getting denied.
Yes, that's why designing is very important. When you do the designing of your infrastructure, you should design a required network security. Okay, a single network security group for Windows machines, and a single network security group for the Linux virtual machine, because uh, you can specify or you can segregate the energies by the operating system level. Okay, or you can have a again 2 or 3 network security group for the your subnet as well. So don't deploy a multiple network security group with the multiple machine. Okay, so try to use the existing or single network security group with the multiple VM. Okay. Okay.
So there is no any limit with the number of security groups, right, to be created.
No,
It can be.
no, there is no limit. Yeah, there is no limit. There is no limit.
So as per your experience, what is the company's thumb rule they follow?
So the network security group people are not relying on a network security group. Okay, because in front of the Azure infrastructure. So let me put the high level diagram and you will get the idea. So currently we do not have any firewall or any required networks, okay, design into the infrastructure. That's why you are asking the more questions. But as a best practices, what you need to do, see, this is my Azure landscape. What I need to do, I should have a multiple VNets. Okay, we'll give the example as well. Okay, so this is a high level design I'm talking. Okay, so let's take an example. This is my prod VNet, and prod VNet I'm going to configure with, let's take a small example like 192.168.1.0/24 network. 1.0/24 network. So the all scenarios I'm going to demonstrate. Okay, so this is my, let's see, this is my DM, not DMD, this is my QA. So Microsoft is not supporting any VLAN concept here. Okay, so if you wanted to segregate the network, then you should have a multiple VNets. Okay, so this is my 2.0 and this is the development, which is 3.0. Development 3.0. Okay, so under those particular VNets, like we have created multiple virtual machines and my infrastructure is running. My services are running. My services are running here. Okay. So you should have a one more VNet, and that particular VNet is nothing but my DMZ VNet, where all the internet facing servers are. DMZ VNet. Let's take an example DMZ VNet 192.168.4.0/24. Okay, and again under that network you have created multiple virtual machine. Okay, so this is the design. Okay, where you have configured the multiple VNets and multiple servers. So now you should have a one more VNet, and that particular VNet is specifically responsible for firewall. So any firewall, either Microsoft firewall or either third-party firewall. Okay, and in that particular network, you are going to deploy a firewall here. This is your third-party firewall or Microsoft firewall. Let us see FortiGate firewall. So I have done the multiple FortiGate firewall. Yeah.
So this firewall will be on premise, right?
No. On Azure. On Azure, you are deploying a third-party firewall. Okay. So you can compare now your on-premises data center infrastructure here, Irfan. So this is direct peering. This is direct peering. This is direct peering with the VNet. This is direct peering. We will discuss each and everything, okay, into the networking. So this is the network peering. This is the network peering. This is the network peering. Okay. So what you need to do, your DMZ is directly communicating with the firewall VNet. Okay, your DMZ is directly communicating with the your firewall VNet. Okay, let's take an example like you have one web server here. You have one web server which is internet facing. And that web server is wanted to communicate one of the component, and that component is sitting into the production infrastructure, right? So that web server is wanted to communicate here, right? So it will not communicate directly as per the best practices. So it will communicate via firewall. Okay. By using those designs, you can segregate your DMZ network. So it's clear, Irfan?
Yeah, I got your point, but means while doing a lab, we'll need to see how to deploy and all that, you know?
100%, 100%. I'm going to demonstrate each and every lab. Okay, you need to understand and you need to do the practice as well with the multiple times, because a same scenarios you will get into the actual industry, because people are not deploying a single virtual machine, right? People are deploying a multiple virtual machine, okay, which is comes under the firewall. Okay, so in front the complete infrastructure you need to deploy the firewall, either Microsoft firewall or any third party. Okay, so all the incoming traffic from internet, either from internet or either from your on premises, it will hit on first firewall. Into firewall it will check the complete policies and everything, IPS, IDS, all the policies, and again that packets are getting forwarded to the required destination, which is your production or QA or your VNet. Again, production will not communicate with the QA will not communicate with the development, or vice versa. If you wanted to do the communication, then all the communication will happen via firewall only. Okay, it will communicate. Let's see, I have one specific server, and the server wanted to communicate with the QA server. Okay, so you need to raise a ticket with firewall team will create one rule inside the firewall. You need to define a source with the required port, and then get a specific port via firewall. So this is a best practice. And when you talk on internal communication will happen automatically, because all the servers are created under the same network. Internal communication will happen automatically. Okay, so that particular lab I'm going to demonstrate you, okay, into the networking during firewall, Microsoft firewall or third party firewall.
So a point just to clear, Yogesh, like you said, internal communication. So you mean to say the VNet, we have three different VNets. One is prod, one is QA, and one is development. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
prod means the machines which are under prod, they will communicate among themselves without any interference, right?
Right. Right.
Within
Right.
the prod VNet. But
Right.
since your QA is also a part of your production zone, and dev is
Right.
also part of your production zone, so can
Right.
means again still it will go through firewall, or it can directly communicate with QA and
No.
dev.
No. See. By default. See again. It depends on your requirement to requirement. Okay. And it depends on your design, which design you're going to use. So mostly people are using a hub and spoke architecture during the Azure designing. Okay. So hub and spoke architecture means all the spokes means your Azure VNet is acting as a hub. Sorry, your firewall VNet is acting as a hub, and your other VNets are acting as a spoke. Spoke 1, spoke 2, and spoke 4. Okay. So you can create a directly VNet peering between two networks. You can do the communication bypassing the firewall. But a recommendation here is if you wanted to do the communication between prod and QA, it should communicate via firewall. Means all the logs can be generated inside the firewall. Okay. Like when you compare with your on-premises data center, like in your on-premises data center, you have test, DMZ, and again production. If production wanted to communicate with the DMZ, or if your production wanted to communicate with the test, so you are opening the ports right into the firewall. So the same design we need to configure here.
But Yogesh, we can do the VNet pairing in between production and QA and dev, in between
Yes,
QA and dev.
yes,
And
we can. Yeah, we can,
yeah,
but
then
yeah, but this is not a best practices. What
But my
Microsoft
question is,
is, yeah, uh-huh.
like we have the same energy rules to configure like the
Right,
firewall. So what is the difference
right.
to use a firewall, a separate firewall in this scenario? Because this
See,
will charge us for the separate
yeah,
firewall and all.
yeah, I agree. See, don't compare firewall with the energy and energy with the firewall. So your energies are not that much secure compared to firewall. Okay. So by using a energy, we can allow or deny only incoming and outgoing traffic. This is the first thing. Okay. So your energy is not providing any web filtering. Energy is not providing any IPS, IDS configuration. Energy is not providing any website filtering. Energy is not providing any DDoS things. So those features, security features, you will get inside the firewall. Okay, because
Yeah.
energy is not providing that much security. Okay, so what Microsoft is saying, internal communication, internal allow and block, you can use the energy part, and external you can have a Microsoft firewall or you can have the third party firewall.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the thing here, either Microsoft firewall, either third party firewall. Okay, so internal communication you can configure via energy, you can allow, you can deny, but the external communication should via happen only the firewall only, either third party firewall or Microsoft firewall. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we'll do, we'll stop here. Okay, we'll stop for the day, and next week we will continue. So from next week we will do Saturday Sunday both day. Okay, and we'll try to start the networking topic as well next week. Any question till? You need to perform the same labs and you need to try on an energies. Just create the multiple virtual machine with the single energy and just try all the labs which we have done today. So any question till? Okay, so we'll stop here and we'll upload the video, okay, as early as possible.
Okay.
Okay, any question, any doubt, just you can ping me on WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, Suresh.
Yeah. Thanks.